You know how theater lights are supposed to go down when the show ends? Well, in Charlotte's Belk Theater, some say they never truly go dark. They say there's always someone watching from the balcony, someone who never left. I found this out the hard way. During college, I worked part-time as an usher there. The shifts were long. The pay wasn't great, but I loved the building. I loved the quiet after the audience cleared out, when the energy of the performance still hung in the air like dust motes in a sunbeam. My job was simple: walk the aisles, pick up discarded programs, and make sure no one was left behind in the seats. It was peaceful. But every single night, my manager would give me the same strange warning as I started my final sweep. He'd say, "Get your work done. Lock up, and whatever you do, don't look too long at the balcony after hours." At first, I thought it was just a silly joke. You know, a bit of theater lore to spook the new hires. I'd chuckle and get on with my work. For months, nothing happened. The balcony was just an empty, silent curve of seats in the dark. It was easy to dismiss the warning, easy to forget, until the night I saw him. It was late, way past midnight. We'd just finished cleaning up after a long technical rehearsal for a touring Broadway show. The place was supposed to be completely empty. The cast and crew were gone. The other ushers had clocked out. It was just me and one other guy, who was down in the main lobby. I decided to do one last, quick check of the upper levels before heading out. So, I climbed the grand staircase, the only sound being the soft squeak of my own shoes on the marble. The air was thick and still. I pulled out my small flashlight and started my routine, sweeping the beam across the rows of plush velvet seats. Everything was as it should be: empty rows, a few forgotten playbills, and then I aimed the light at the grand tier balcony, and I froze. There he was, a man. He was sitting perfectly still in the front row, right in the center. He wore a sharp, old-fashioned gray suit. His posture was unnaturally stiff, his hands folded neatly on his lap. His face was impossibly pale, almost glowing in the dim, greenish light from the emergency exit signs. My heart hammered against my ribs. My first thought wasn't ghost. It was straggler, someone who'd fallen asleep or was trying to stay the night. So I raised my voice, trying to sound official. "Sir, excuse me, sir, the theater is closed." He didn't move, not a muscle. He just kept staring forward, his eyes locked on the empty, dark stage, as if the show was still in full swing and he was captivated. It was unsettling. The silence that followed my shout was heavier than before. I took a hesitant step toward him, my flashlight beam trembling in my hand. "Sir, you need to leave now." Again, nothing. I was about to walk right up to him, maybe tap him on the shoulder. I blinked, just a quick, nervous blink, and when my eyes opened, the seat was empty, just like that, gone. I stood there, completely stunned, in the dead silence of the massive hall. My chest felt tight, and I could smell that distinct theater scent-old wood, dust, and aging velvet, but it seemed stronger, more intense. My mind was racing, trying to make sense of what I'd just seen. Did I imagine it? Was I just that tired? And then, from all the way down below, a voice shattered the quiet. It was my co-worker, shouting from the main lobby. "Hey, what are you doing up there? Come down here, quick." He's in the lobby. My blood ran cold. I didn't even answer. I just turned and bolted down the stairs, my feet pounding, my mind a complete blank. I was half convinced I was losing it, that the long hours were finally getting to me. Burst into the lobby, out of breath, and found my co-worker standing by the main entrance, his face pale. He didn't even look at me. He just pointed a shaky finger toward the huge glass doors that led out to the street. And there he was again, the same man, the same crisp gray suit, the same rigid stillness. This time, he was standing just inside the glass doors, facing out into the night, as if he was waiting for someone to let him out. But the doors were unlocked. He could have just pushed them open. He was just standing there, waiting. We both stared, speechless. My co-worker turned to me and whispered, "Who is that?" It was for just a fraction of a second, a half-second turn of the head. But when we looked back at the doors, the lobby was empty. He was gone again. We locked up in record time that night, barely speaking a word to each other. The next morning, I was still shaken. I had to know if I was crazy. I found one of the older ushers, a woman who'd been working at the theater for over 20 years. I nervously asked her if she'd ever seen a man in a gray suit lingering after hours. She didn't even hesitate. She just smiled, a sad, knowing smile, and said, "Oh, you met him, did you? Don't worry, they all do, eventually." She told me he's been a part of the Belk Theater since the day it opened, a permanent resident. No one knows his real story for sure. Some of the old-timers say he was a wealthy patron who had a heart attack and died during a particularly moving performance. Others believe he was an actor, or maybe a director, who loved the stage so much that he simply never left, because, for him, the performance never truly ended. That was my last season working at the Belk. I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched every time. I had to do that final sweep. But even now, years later, whenever I walk past those grand glass doors at night and see the empty lobby, I get a chill. I can't help but feel like someone is standing just on the other side of the glass, watching me, waiting for the next show to begin. So if you ever find yourself in Charlotte at the Belk Theater and you get a seat in the balcony, don't be too surprised if you feel a cold spot or the sensation of someone brushing past your shoulder in an empty row. Chances are you're not the only one in your seat. He's just enjoying the show right alongside you. Thanks for listening to my story. If you have any strange experiences of your own, I'd love to read them in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more tales from the shadows. See you next time.